Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Project Zero. Rishiv here with another video podcast, and we're really sweeping by the recordings the past couple of days because timing is tight, and we plan to get this done anyway sooner than this, so whatever. If it's happening now, it's happening now. So previously, what did we get done the previous episode? The previous episode was on receipts, some stories, just getting rid of all the receipts. And now we're doing the transition over to office paperwork. That's generally speaking quite important. We're talking about important documents. So before we begin, you can see it's really important. You can see that there's a passport here, for example, as well as some of these envelopes here have void checks, not void checks, but checks, bank checks. So 3 highlights before we jump in. First, slice of life in real life. So what is a main highlight that you would like to share and what's been going on in your lives? Very generally, very vaguely, nothing too private or too confidential. Only things that you're comfortable with sharing, usually something lighthearted. Second, what's the frustration? Something you would like to vent about, something that made you feel like something negative you want to get off your chest. Once again, just keeping things private and confidential to a degree. And of course, if there is no bad news is good news. And third, if there's anything that is directly related to this topic over the past week or so recently that you can think of that is related to, maybe you had to go visit your office or something like that, you can share that as well. Or you can just swap out all of these for a little joke, a little meme to lighten things up. Because I recognize that part of Slice of Life and Project Zero is quite serious. Because it's dealing with everyday real life responsibilities. That's kind of unavoidable. All right, with that being said, let's just dive right into it. I'll do the introduction at the very back. Try to switch up back and forth to make things too monotone and dry. But we do have a lot of paperwork. So before we dive right into all this stuff here that I'm showing you right now for a video thumbnail, we did have a segue into this. And that was this kind of stuff here when I covered the receipts previously, because it was related. And I remember mentioning that the Walmart card is already a gift card used up. Not sure if I'm going to end up passing this over to someone else, because I can load some money on this and then pass it to someone else. Most likely I'll just discard and recycle it. And there's a slip of paper here. Again, this is for the city's police services. So I spoke to police officers, at least 2 of them, to ask for their assistance regarding the current matters and affairs. Now, of course, these 2 slips of paper, I tore up once again. I was thinking of getting rid of them, but they both were somewhat related to purchases. So the card for Walmart, the slip of paper was nearby where I was eating Domino's. And then we also had this, the Bing's bag. Now, the reason why I brought this back up is because even though I covered it in the previous episode, I thought I was going to stash it away in storage, but in fact, there's a very useful practical use right now. Talk about redundancy. So this bag I can open up, for example, and how interesting. I didn't see this, but on the side there's a story here. It says, our story: what can 2 IT guys, information tech guys, from top internet companies create together? Well, in the spring of 2014, that's how Bing's was born. What the hell? Internet tech guys founded this restaurant, founded by 2 passionate former employees from Tencent and Baidu, China. Bing's brings a modern taste to a long-loved Chinese tradition, inspired by Rojamo, known as the Chinese burger. Bing's offers flavorful fillings hugged by big crispy buns, perfectly blending. Burgers sold over 65 plus locations in Beijing, Peking, and since has been recognized as a top fast dining destination. All right, so I didn't know that this was basically founded by IT personnel. I was going to use this bag basically. I thought I was going to store it away, but now I might be able to use it to cover this. And what the hell is this? So this is all the stuff that I carry with me. I mentioned this in a previous video that I just kind of carry with me because I need it without carrying the entire luggage bag, which is killing my shoulders and my back posture. So nutritional supplements, there are napkins, there are some receipts there, which should be, I should get rid of the receipts, honestly. The gloves here, the synthetic gloves I was talking about, right? And I just want to toss it inside there. What? There are more receipts. Yeah, there's a McDonald's receipt here. I should get rid of that as well. It's for butter chicken and s'mores iced coffee. That's yesterday's purchase, and 2 apple pies. So I would like to transfer everything inside, all the contents in here, the USB cables, over to here. And if I don't decide to transfer it here, I can transfer it to one of the other bags at the back, I realize, that are also recyclable, usable bags. So that's something else that could happen. Put this down for a moment. Good. So that covers that last remaining topic. Let's move on to this episode stuff. That is actually something that was important to mention, though. So fairly recently, we also dropped by the government. So now we're covering all important stuff. So this is a heads up. Everything here, from here on forward, is lots of business, finance, government, employment, credit related matters and affairs, and sometimes healthcare. So this one here is dropping over by the government office. I'm under a support program for social assistance given the DA or domestic abuse and that kind of case. It was submitted, it was approved, and what we have here is I went there just to update some information so that I have pay direct debit from not pay direct debit. That's one of the forms that I was told to not use, and instead just to have the government directly use their funds that they would normally pay me and pay directly straight over to the new housing lease. So that's why I was there, and I need approval. And I spoke to my colleague, to my caseworkers over the phone. She said go to it in person. It's that kind of back and forth. She's overwhelmed with over 100 clients anyways. That's why it's happening. So then went over in person, and then I saw one of my older caseworkers, and we had a great conversation. Let's just say JS. So me and JS had this great conversation. It was just flowing. We just couldn't stop talking for 45 minutes. And one of her colleagues had to drop by and tell, hey, it's like 4:30. Jay, we gotta go. But anyways, that was a really nice conversation. And when I was there, I picked up one of these slips here at the back. There's actually 2 slips. I'm not sure where the other one went. It's supposed to still be here. Oh no, I returned it. One was the Ukrainian refugee brochure, and another one, which I have here, is a Scarborough Milliken Markham Interprofessional Primary Care Team, so IPC, and then its partner agencies include Care First, Talibu, and other agencies from different cultures. So we could have some Sri Lankan here, some from Cantonese speaking, and so on and so forth. And the anchor agency that kind of groups all these together is apparently a Center for Healthy Communities and a Central East Local Health Integration Network. They call it LHI, and I've actually been a part of that when I was volunteering for the hospital 3-4 years ago. All right, what we have here on the back is just a bunch of information. Contacting your team, hours of service, for referrals and more information. All stuff, information referring practitioners, IPC, basket of services, the primary care team, from foot care nurse or social workers to nurse practitioners, harm reduction workers, dietitians, physiotherapists, and clinical psychologists, and so on and so forth. So I scanned this, and I still have it here with me right now. I'm probably gonna look through it, and then I'm gonna toss it in the trash, recycling. So it's not like I really need it. If I already have it scanned, it's some useful information because I don't have a physiotherapist, and if I'm going to be, and I don't have an occupational therapist either, or a dietitian. So there's a lot that could be used there. Okay, now here's the mass of paper. taste some phlegm. I'm not sick, but I can taste it. So we have, speaking of sickness, and I'm not sick. So this is public health of the current city. When I was working, and I was an essential worker, I was making St. John's ambulance, that kind of first aid emergency kits. We had, that was throughout the pandemic. So we had from the HR at the front desk before moving in, not the front desk, at the front desk, no, not the front desk, up on the entrance, shipping entrance. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, it's like 10 of these slips here that I have souvenirs still. Stop COVID-19 from spreading. Please complete the following information questions from beginning your workday. So fever, cough, difficulty breathing, sore throat, runny nose, loss of taste, smell, not feeling well, nausea. And this is all for the municipal government. And, they're not useful anymore. COVID's of the past. Who cares about the pandemic anymore? It's not really good. I could tear this up right now if I really want to. Why don't we just do that? Just like that. But it's basically a multiple choice checklist here. Do you have those symptoms? Have you been traveling in the past 14 days? Have you been in close contact with someone who has been confirmed with COVID in the past 14 days? Anyways, bye. It's not really relevant at all anymore. Now we have a bunch of mail and envelopes. I think I want to cover this batch of paperwork. I'm kind of going backwards in recency. So everything I've covered so far has been going from the most recent to least recent to dated and dated further back. So something else that was recent here are all these large paperwork. Let's be honest, I just want to cover this because it's a large patch of paperwork. So we have 5 forms here, I think, and all 5 of them have to do with, surprise, surprise, I made so many videos about this. It's insane. I just want to stop talking about it. Like 15 videos. Income tax returns I would mention back to back to back because it just took forever to get done. 15 is an understatement. It's like 25, 30 videos I mentioned. Income tax checklist for 2022. Please note the checklist, organize and summarize your tax reporting documents. Blah. Now it has my personal information here. I'm obviously not going to show you. Income and information slips, the T4, T4A deductions, credits, foreign reporting. We have authorization, cancellation requests, signature page, blah-de-da, all that crap. Lots of stuff. We have information return for electronic filing of individual's tax return. So it's just consent, disclosure forms, privacy information, all that kind of stuff. All right here, all ready to be stored inside the storage unit. So that's where that's going. And actually, I'm thinking about that. Maybe this is too useful, this brochure. I tore up the COVID stuff, but maybe this brochure is useful and I can keep that by putting inside storage. So who knows? Because it's got, seems to me that they have a very important connection to a lot of very key healthcare resources that I should have in my life. So it's like a directory, I would say. And but the funny thing is, I'm not going to be living in this region anymore. So I don't know. Basically, this is for this region, this district of the city, and I'm moving to a different district. I'm moving downtown. So, anyways, still useful stuff. Maybe I'll tear it up. Maybe I won't. I don't really know. Okay, so covering mail now. Oh, gotta be careful not to switch it up. Let's not do mail. We haven't covered any mail yet. So let's cover this. This is a passport. All right. This is my country of origins passport. I'm not going to showcase. I'm not going to flip it around, obviously. But if I did that, I'd be able to show you the country. Passports, right? Passport. And if I open it to somewhere that's kind of, is there anything here that won't show exactly which country I'm from? Nope, there isn't. Basically, I can't open and show you this. Just trust me here. When I say that is the passport, I think you recognize it. And that's a very important piece of information that I'm going to store in a more secure place. I don't want to say where. There are plenty of locations I could put it. Yeah, there's a lot of places I could put it. I'm considering a new service that I've been thinking of a long time now. That I saw, it's quite often a trope to be used in like movies, like spy movies. It's not spy movies, but it's like one of those just like thriller movies. Anyways, with that being said, I'm not gonna disclose anymore obviously, because it's all just like really private stuff. Now we have 6 envelopes here, it seems, and I'm gonna take out 2 of these here. 3, maybe 3, 2. The first 2 to take out having to do with, I just mentioned the passport, which I'm not showing you in any detail, and I'm not going to show you in any detail the mail here either. But these 2 mail have, well, this one here, these two, sorry, are checks for one of my banks. I do have more than one banking institution. I don't believe it's wise to keep all things in one basket, but I will say these 2 envelopes, one's for, say, for example, like I don't know, your line of credit, and then the other one's for your checking. So for example, you have checks for your checking account, you got checks for your line of credit, whatever. Now I can't say that I use either of them, but you know that's something I wouldn't even tell you any further than that. We're going to store that also in a place that is secure. So we're not going to say where that is, but it's going somewhere. All this mail is also going to pretty much the same location, because all this mail here is also not mail that is it's, like I said, all this mail here is important documentation. So the first thing I see here is also fairly recent. It was only a couple months ago that I considered renting. No, not considered. It's been at least a year and a half I considered it, but I finally went and at least a storage unit. And so one of this is from the storage unit, and it has my invoice. I don't know why I'm speaking in this accent, but anyways, there's a little invoice inside there that has a monthly payment of roughly about 150 something bucks. I just realized I didn't make note of that in Excel, that I just recently this morning went online and purchased a new transport pass. So I gotta note that down inside the Excel spreadsheet. Finances, okay? Lots of money matters. Okay, next. Speaking of money, this is another money-related affair, and this one has to do with seems like to be some sort of banking. Yes. So this envelope has to do with probably a card renewal, and I'm not exactly sure if that's what it is, but yes, that's exactly what it is. So I just took it out. I'm not supposed to do that. Typically I don't, but this is a credit card renewal. It's a new credit card that I had to just activate, because the old one, I believe it was just reaching its expiry date, and so I went ahead and I swapped that up. But next thing else, we have the Sun Life, Freedom. Anyways, it's one of those insurance companies that covers insurance. Pretty straightforward. And so this is personal confidential information once again, and this is going to be for, I believe, my dental benefit. So I did my dental, teeth, if depending on your country of origin, I'm pretty sure you may have insurance. You may or may not have subsidized or government funded insurance. You may have privatized or public, right? So the point is, in my country, we do have some healthcare benefits, and particularly private benefits if you are employed. And so I was employed, and so this is where this comes from. I got my teeth worked on at a dentist, and then I was covered by an insurance company. So we have covered a lot of things here so far. Insurance, we have storage, Invoice, we have health and dental, we have passport, government, photo ID, that kind of stuff, void checks, banking, finance. We also talked about healthcare, physiotherapists, we talked about clinicians and stuff like that. And we also talked about the pandemic, right? Having the public health safety measures. And the reason why I'm summarizing everything is because we're nearing the end of this first batch. The next video is about 20 minutes now. It's going to be more paperwork, but they're of a separate category, and I'll mention briefly what that is. So here's the last 2 envelopes, and I'm very happy to say that we're done this, because I've been trying to get through to this bullshit for so long now. It's been, I don't know how long, 3-4 weeks at minimum. If not, I've been planning this out for like 4 months. It feels like a whole season has passed by. So here, this is from the city. And it covers, so it's from the same office that I started this video off with, from the bundle, from the batch of mail, saying that it's from my caseworkers who I went to see. And this was at the very beginning when I first receiving benefits, all the way back about half a year ago, I think in December, maybe further back, can't remember the exact month or date. But what I will say is that this is supposed to be a change report form. So this package here allows you to basically fill up any changes. Did you get a new job? Did you switch from one location to another? Your address? Have you changed residence? Have you done this or that? So all that kind of stuff here is basically stuff that covers, information that is very important that you should log and send over to the government or send over to, your local office and caseworker. And you should do this on a bi-weekly basis, I remember. And they would mail me these. Now, unfortunately, they have stopped because I've taken note to the fact that certain people in this household are confiscating my mail, and they're basically doing something quite illegal. But, you're not supposed to take other people's mail. That's something that actually is a criminal offense. But I'm not going to pursue that because I don't have any proof of that. All I know is that I'm not receiving any mail anymore. And the office, as a result, maybe they stopped sending these, maybe they just are just being confiscated by somebody else. So the last thing here is the actual dentistry invoice. So this is the Dentistry Professional Corporation. I paused there for a second because there's a name, and the name of my long-term, I have known her for at least 22 to 25 years at this point. A great dentist, but also my longtime friend, because this is my pediatric dentist, meaning that she's known me since I was just a wee little kid, like a toddler. So there's an invoice and cost about $228, really expensive nowadays. I can tell you that this is a very recent invoice, just a couple months back, because before, when I went there for a checkup, it wouldn't cost $280, it used to cost about $210. And a lot of that equipment that they use to sanitize and disinfect and all the preventative measures for during the pandemic have obviously raked up the costs. And now things are just expensive overall because we're in a very, you could say it's no longer a time of peace, It's like the pre-warfare time. If you have received current news, apparently Russia came over and signed some kind of contract deal, taking military advantage over Cuba's location, given Cuba's very poor, bankruptcy as a nation. Something along those lines. I'm sorry, I'm not describing it properly, but basically there's a real security concern. So the world's basically not in peace anymore. People are angsty and edgy on the public, but nations and countries and societies are all having a difficult time now. Gas is way up, finances and general quality of living is expensive, everything's like that. So with that being said, I think that covers everything for this bundle here. So I'm going to wrap up this video. You can see here, it's like a fan now, all this paperwork. This is a good thumbnail as well. And what I'm going to do with this paperwork, I can actually tip. Like I said, I do have to switch up that bag, but also where that bag you see right now is behind my right elbow right there. I just kind of nudged off to it right now. There's a crate, and I mentioned that I might be placing some paperwork there. Although, I have to mention very briefly, obviously, that will not be the same location for the most important stuff. Obviously, I don't think it'd be very wise to place personal identification and stuff like that inside a little box. Oh wait, hold on a second. There's an advertisement. I caught it this time, right? But anyways, yeah, that's where I would consider putting some of the more benign paperwork, such as the insurance invoice or the invoice for the dentistry. And then I can finally move that crate. Now, before we can do that, of course, before that crate goes, I did mention previously that once I've put all the paperwork inside, which I've been itching to do, we're not done yet. We have to cover the second bundle. We'll be able to put this piece of tech, this flat drawing tablet inside as well. So I can't wait to get the next video done, and then we can get the hell out of here. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in and listening. We got more work to do. Lots of business related and government and insurance related affairs. Speaking of insurance, I just recently bought tenant insurance. I have a policy for that now. Uh, yeah, it's a 12-month policy. Anyways, yeah, lots of critical life stuff. So this is one of those videos that's kind of rare. I know it's like 25 minutes in. I just want to say I'm very happy to say that I'm covering this kind of content, because if you can't tell, most of my videos, most of the podcasts cover such mundane topic. No, not mundane. Sorry, and then let's not put myself down like that. It's not mundane, but for example, I have far too many videos, more than I would like. At least 10 to 15% of my videos cover, like waste, garbage, packaging, food, receipts. It's like, what the hell is that, man? Um, I know it's a part of everyday life, but that's really just kind of. So I try to spice that up by using storytelling, right? And the people that I meet, something fulfilling that happened, which always works in my opinion. But um, obviously the more important stuff here, even if it sounds a little bit more boring, this is far more crucial. All this stuff I just talked about in this video. So thank you for tuning in. This is Slice of Life in real life, mishmashed together to create an authentic VR paradox, because we cover the project Jira's kind of domains of life, from health, finance, relationships, government, insurance, health, diet, nutrition, all that kind of stuff, fulfillment and purpose. And then on the left-hand side, we have all this fun stuff like artificial intelligence, self-improvement, psychotherapy, academia, content creation, all that kind of stoicism, philosophy, and like general social media and interesting stuff like that, and technology. So all that kind of stuff here, all that kind of stuff on the right and left, putting together, and then you get Grandpa's slice of life lessons for orphans. It's a daily share. We check in on each other every day, and we share each other's events on a very confidential level, but just in general, how's your day been? Slice of life lessons for each other, especially for orphans who don't have a role model. And I know I wish I had that when I was growing up. That's why I'm doing this. I wish I had that. I had neither. Okay. So thank you for tuning in, guys. And here's a support animation, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and be well. Okay. Be well. That's Chubby Emu. I just gotta get striked by Chubby Emu. Ah. See you in the next one. More paperwork next.